Hello, this is Doug Bruhnke of the Global Chamber. Welcome to our virtual online Google on-air hangout. Today we're going to be talking about connections and how those connections can help you grow your business internationally. So I'm going to first time using Google Hangouts, so there's a learning curve. Those of you who signed up recognize that we were a little bit late to the table here, but hopefully we can make our way through, and let's see how that looks. Does everybody see that? Awesome. So we're going to talk about global trusted connections. A lot of folks I've met over the last couple decades, say, "Hey, no big deal, global connections, no problem at all." And yet, it ends up being one of the most important and probably the most difficult thing at the end for us to be involved with. And so one of the real core elements of the Global Chamber is, how can we get you to have more and better connections for places you want to grow your business? So there's really three core elements of things that we're doing as an organization globally. Number one is help you go global sooner. Help you go global better, which includes giving you better trusted connections, and help those of you who want to have a global career to have a global career. So those three things are really the core tenets of the Global Chamber. And today's focus is around one of the most important aspects, and that is, how can we do global connections better? Here's a picture of probably something that you've experienced if you've traveled over to Asia. How do you interact with people? So if you're interacting with someone in your neighborhood, you know their customs, you know how they act, they know how they expect you to act. But when you're doing this internationally, it's a little bit trickier, right? So today we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're also going to give you 10 tips on growing your global connection network. You can actually see these 10 tips on our blog. If you visit our Career Center and click on blog, you'll be able to see a little bit more detail on each of these 10, but I do want to summarize and go through each of the 10. So first of all, number one, if you're going to grow your global connections, start by asking yourself, who and what do I need? So the first step in this whole process is understanding that you do need connections. You need them across the borders. You need them in different functions. You need different skill sets all around you to go international. If you're a marketing person, you need people in operations and finance. If you're a finance person, you need people in marketing and in logistics and in other areas. So the first step is very simply understand who your world is today and who you want your world to be going forward. If you're a CEO, you do need that full functional capability. You may not need connections in every location, but your organization does. And so the next step would be not only what you need, but what your organization overall needs, and your extended organization. So not everybody in your company will be, you won't be relying on just people in your company. You'll have connections above and beyond that. And so think about not just your direct team, maybe even your direct reports, but their reports, and also your extended team, like attorneys that you may be hiring separately, or other resources extended beyond your team. So go through that process of who and what do I need, do we need to grow our business internationally. Number two is be selective. So that list you did in number one is a very long list. It may not be terribly long in terms of the groupings. I need someone who knows intellectual property law cross-border. I need somebody who knows law around not breaking the law relative to corruption. So you need specific elements. And then when you're talking about doing business in China or in Africa or in Europe, there's some nuances related to specific countries or regions. You'll need those things. So that list may not be terribly long, but in terms of now, who do I really want to know? That's definitely something you should be selective with. I noticed the other day that in LinkedIn, I have 20 million connections. There's no way in the world I'm going to have 20 million, daily connections or even annual connections. But some fraction of those 20 million, 600, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, that's probably a reasonable working group to start with. And as we expand the global chamber, we're in 500 metropolitan areas, and we're building out that network in those 500 metro areas over the next year. 500 metros starts to be a pretty big group, right? So each of you can't have that many connections or necessarily have connections. You're going to rely on other people within your company, people within the global chamber. So be selective. Number 3 is, as you're networking and you're meeting more people and you're maintaining the connections that you have with people, you need to be flexible. You can't have a golfing outing with every one of your connections. You can't necessarily even have coffee with every single connection, but you can get on the phone. You can write an email. You can write a thank you. There's a variety of things that you can do to maintain these connections with people, build the connections and maintain the connections. So be flexible around how you do it. One of the most important aspects of building a trusted network is to test those connections. So what do I mean by that? You might not necessarily hire an attorney, right out of the chute, but you might, after hearing what they do, make a recommendation that they meet someone that you know. That's a lower risk for you, certainly, way of understanding how they end up delivering their services. So you've vetted them to the point where you feel good about them. Let me be really clear about that. You want to make sure that you feel confident before you make any recommendation that they talk to anyone else. But if they end up talking to someone else and they pass through their vetting process, then and they get hired, now you've got a data point that says, can this person do a good job? Do they follow up? How capable are they? How flexible are they, et cetera? So that's what I mean by testing. Over the years, I would say out of the vetting process, 1 in 100, 5 in 100 end up being, even after I think that they're going to be okay, end up being somewhat of a problem. So just remember, I'm sure your data is similar, where you feel like, hey, this person's going to really do a good job for us, and it doesn't work out. So test them either within your own company or outside to really determine whether they're going to do a good job. Through this whole process, show who you are. So number 5, show yourself. So whether you're on a board, whether you're golfing and you keep an honest score, whatever that ends up being for you, in each case, show yourself as who you are, an honest person, someone who's diligent, someone who follows up, someone who is a good professional, someone who is a leader, etc. So make sure you know certainly who you are and what your attributes are, and then show that to other people. Number 6, first impressions. So here's someone who always makes a great first impression, Al Molina. One of the most amazing jewelers in the world, has jewelry stores all over the United States. He once, at a Christmas party, pulled out of his jacket a $12 million diamond and suggested that might be a good Christmas gift for my wife. So clearly he doesn't know what my budget process is, and I'm sure he was large tongue-in-cheek. He's made a great first impression and second and third and fourth impression on me and others, and you can tell from this picture how impeccably he dresses, how impeccably he speaks, all the different community activities that he's involved with over and over again. Al Molina is a tremendous model for all of us to follow in terms of not only impressions, but also how he contributes to the community. Just an amazing contributor to society overall. Great model for all of us. Number 7, in your connecting, prepare and research. So wherever you are, in this case, this is along the California coast in preparation for a meeting. Check LinkedIn, check Google. Figure out who you're meeting, who you want to meet, and do some research on it. Find out where the people went to school. Find out what their interests are. Most people have that information online. It's very rare. Recently, I was meeting with a very renowned person within a community and tried to do some research on her and found out that there was very little there. It turned out that she had hired someone to clean up her online profile, not because she was hiding something, but for her own personal reasons. And so that's a very rare circumstance. In most cases, the people that you'll be dealing with, certainly within your own country and in most countries, will have some online background. Definitely do some research on that, on them and their company. One of the great services for any American company is the U.S. Commercial Service Gold Key. So they'll do that for you. If you've done some initial research in a particular area, they'll actually do research and do a deep dive on particular partners and customers that you may want to do. So the Gold Key program is one of the great valuable assets for any American company going international. It's a preparation and research process. Number 8 in your connecting process is to listen. And so, how many times do you meet someone and, they're talking about themselves and talking about what they can do, et cetera, and that's helpful, but by you listening and understanding what they deliver, rather than necessarily giving the monologue right back, you're able to understand how they fit, potentially not only into your company, but into companies that you're aware of. So understand, listen, ask questions, be very thorough in your whole process. I remember a number of years ago meeting with someone. We had an hour meeting, and through my questioning of him, it turned out the whole hour was devoted to really understanding what he did. We know each other 8 years later, because at the end of that hour, he basically said, hey, look, we just spent an hour. I know nothing about you, but I want to know more about you. And that's built into 8 years of a very productive relationship of trust. He trusts me, I trust him, et cetera. So listen, ask questions. That's a really key part of the whole process. Number 9, follow up. So what does that mean? It means you've had a conversation with someone, you've had on the phone or wherever, write a quick note. Document what just happened, because 6 months from now or 3 months from now or some period of time, you are busy and you may not necessarily remember, they may not necessarily remember all the things that were covered. Write a quick follow-up on what you talked about, the key aspects of it, and make sure that that's documented. So follow up that conversation so that you can manage a bigger world of connections. And finally, number 10, whatever you're doing, add value. So what does that mean? It means when you have a conversation with someone, you're understanding where they're coming from and what they need, and hopefully you can make a recommendation to help them. And if you're going to help someone, they'll be more inclined to help you. So one of the great secrets of building a great network is to build a network that is people who trust you and respect you, and by adding value, that happens a lot quicker. So that's the 10. Please visit our blog section to be able to see more on that. It's actually in the career section. This is a listing of some of the things that we offer companies and executives and professionals who are looking to expand their success internationally. We have a variety of resources, variety of services. We have events, we have training, we provide news around global business, we have articles and videos, we have jobs, almost 1,000 jobs that are globally related. We have education and training connections, we do counseling, we do mentoring. Whatever you need relative to your global expansion, we can help with. Because at the end of the day, if you're part of the global tribe, you recognize that you have needs and gaps relative to growing internationally. If you're part of the global tribe, you really should be part of the global chamber. If you're not in the tribe, like this young woman, then hey, There are other things that you should be focused in on, other organizations and other chambers, but our organization is for people who want to expand their business, internationally, and many of us, most of us, have a real love for international business. So are you in? Are you into the Global Chamber? We hope you are. You can visit more at globalchamber.org. We welcome you to visit our website, send us an email. You can find me at doug@globalchamber.org. Be happy to answer any questions that you have and follow up to this conversation. Thank you very much for your time.